Hello, ladies and jelly spoons. Welcome to the Game Dojo. I'm your host, the Game Ninja. This is Gamer Nation. You know where you are. This is the Land Gaming Built. So, it has become incumbent on me because I've been asking since April 2nd, since the Nintendo Switch 2 was actually brought into life. How are we going to get our games from Switch 1 to Switch 2? Do we sign in the account and the account brings the information over? Do we transfer the game data to bring it over and that's what happens? Hold on, my switch just turned off. Come on, switch. All right. That's one thing I like about the switch. Pop it in, do your thing. There we go. Where's my Pro controller? There we go. We're good. All right, put my Pro controller back down. All right, so I've been wondering how we're going to address the change from information from Switch 1 to Switch 2. And last night they did an update to 20.0, and I have some idea of how they're going to manage this. I'm thinking because of the new changes to the Switch 1. So apparently Nintendo Switch is getting ready for the drop. They're getting ready for their June 5th date. They're getting ready for launch. And what they pretty much started talking about at the beginning of April is something they're actually doing now in volume on the Switch 1. So 20.0 is here. And let me just take you into virtual game cards, which is insanity. I didn't know anything about this. I heard about it, but it wasn't explained. And I kind of wish that there was some kind of direct they did to explain the digital game cards and the sharing, and they just did an entire overhaul of the Nintendo Switch 1. The infrastructure, the pictures, the design, how things are lined up. Even the e-store is different. Everything has been different. So it looks like the Switch 1 got an upgrade just in time for the Switch 2. But don't take my word for it. Let's jump into some of these different changes that Switch 1 owners woke up to today. I'm your Game Ninja. I want you to sit back and relax with your favorite bag of snacks and get ready for these Switch tracks. I got the Ring of Power. It is the Power Hour. Let's just see if we gonna be sour. Let's do it. Okay, so this is the infrastructure of the Nintendo Switch. But if you notice, down at the bottom, the Nintendo Switch Online is gleaming red with a logo on it. News is green. The eShop was yellow, now it's orange. You have the little heart thing, which is the album emblem, and then you have this, Game Share. When you click into Game Share, you pick your account, and now Nintendo Switch users can use Game Share so that you can play together. So you can join Game Share and switch between Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 systems. Now when you go about Game Share, it says nearby Nintendo Switch users can share compatible software and you can play together using this game software. So we can play Switch 1 and Switch 2 with each other. That is actually a great thing. Have the person on the compatible software do the following on their Nintendo Switch 2. So this is for the Nintendo Switch 2. You're going to go to the home menu, start the game, start Game Share session within the game, and there you go. Now, when you hit Join Game Share now, it's going to look for any corresponding Game Share, but there are no Nintendo Switch 2s out yet, so you can't take advantage of this system just yet. Because there's no game sessions found because there is no Nintendo Switch 2 out just yet. So if you notice, I also went into controllers and I went into everything else, but we're going to go into virtual game cards. This is the next icon that popped up on the Switch system. So basically all the digital games you ever bought your entire life are now known as virtual game cards. So these are the digital games that I've downloaded on my Switch, and you can see all of them have the green icon because they are all virtually installed on the system. Now, the ones that don't, you can see like here, Kirby Clash. These are things that I have in queue or I have to re-download because I ran out of space. You'll see that they have the actual icon of a dotted line and nothing there. So yeah, see like Warframe. So the games that I don't have native downloaded to the Switch, you will see Daemon X Machina. You will see there is a negative Nintendo Switch little cartridge logo thing, which is cool. Now, let's pick one, shall we? Let's go back to the top. And let's hit Mortal Kombat 1. Now, you notice it has downloadable content on it, too. So, it shows the downloadable content. You can load this on another system, which I'm assuming is going to be the Nintendo Switch. There are other systems the virtual game can be loaded on. Okay. Now, we're going to go to About Linking Systems. If you open the home menu on the system you want to go with, you can press virtual game card, select and load on that system, and a on-screen guide will appear. So, you also have lend to a family group or member. So if you have a family group or a member, you can share this game title with them for 14 days. It says virtual game cards can be lent to family group members after bringing the two systems close together and linking them. While lent out, software can be freely paid on the borrowed user system, and lending the user gives up the access to the software temporarily. Virtual game cards can be borrowed for up to 14 days. Once the deadline is reached, the virtual game card will automatically be returned. That is pretty cool. You also have options. You can view details, which will let you know what it's from, who it's from, where it's on. You can also eject from the system, what we're not going to do. You can hide it. I don't know why you would hide it. Maybe because you don't want your parents to know what you're playing. I don't know. That's pretty weird. But it's pretty cool because it already tells you this is loaded on the system already. If you look up in the top corner, it says loaded on the system already. Now, when you choose a game that is not loaded on the system, it'll also let you know and give you the ability to download. So if you hit like Pac-Go Namco Museum, not loaded on the system. So you have to load it on the system to share. So the only things that can be shared have to be downloaded to the system itself. Now, to play these games, you still have to go up into your actual category system so that you can play these games on the Switch 1. But all of these games can be shared to Switch 2. So you can lend your Switch 1 games to your Switch 2. Now, my question is, how are we downloading this information to Switch 2? How are we getting all of our games and information and save games to Switch 2? That's the question. Also, when you go on Switch Online, they've changed the online system, the way things look, the way things are. This is the home where you can look at special notifications and things that they have currently out on the Nintendo Switch as an update, new games to play. You can actually see that, that for once you can see that Nintendo GameCube being out here. If you want, you can hit play and they'll talk about the Nintendo GameCube controller.
Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack will be getting a new classic game library exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo GameCube, originally released in 2001. Here are the titles that will be available at launch. A Legend of Zelda game that looks like a cartoon come to life through cel shading. Controlling the wind using a mysterious baton, Link sets sail on an adventure across the Great Sea. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. Transcending history and the world, a tale of souls and swords eternally retold. In this 3D, weapons-based fighting game, each fighter comes equipped with a different weapon, and Link from the Legend of Zelda series enters the fray. Soul Calibur 2. Experience a world of white-knuckle racing at speeds over 2,000 kilometers per hour. 30 machines will put it all on the line in death-defying races. Featuring the series' first machine customization and story mode, get ready to experience F-Zero GX. In games that support multiplayer, up to 4 can play together locally or online. Enjoy these classic games with clearer image quality and higher resolution than the original releases. You can also check the controls for each title and customize them to your liking. More titles will be added in the future. Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Classics, the Switch 2 exclusive game library coming to Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack launches the same day as the hardware's release. And a dedicated controller designed after the original GameCube controller will also be released. It can connect wirelessly and also has a C button to quickly access Game Chat. The Nintendo GameCube controller, exclusively available for Nintendo Switch Online members, will also be available the same day as Nintendo Switch 2.
Which, if you don't have the expansion pass, you're not going to be able to take advantage of that. But even with the expansion pass, you may not be able to take advantage of it, because when it comes down to, let me go to the missions special offers. Okay, so these things, go down. Haven't been able to get it, almost never in stock. Haven't been able to get it, almost never in stock. Haven't been able to get it, almost never in stock. Haven't been able to get it, almost never in stock. So if you're talking about that, chances are I won't be getting that day one, because they're always almost so impossible to get. Now, you do have the online play on this. Everything else is there. But when you go to missions and rewards, they have the F-Zero limited time edition. You have this one limited event, rewards this month, Play anytime and redeem points. This is something that's new. Returning awards you can get by playing anytime. So you can play these and it'll tell you 3 more times, 2 more times. The software has been played at least 3 times in the last 30 days. You click onto it, and what they'll do is they'll give you some icons and stuff that you can use now, which is actually pretty cool. So it's kind of like an online thing here that's actually pretty good. So we're going to get off of that. Now, when you go up to your page and everything you have now, like say if you go to your profile and you want to change your profile icon, you can do your me character, or you can do the background. You can edit that any which way you want. But when you like change your me character now, look at the design of the characters that they have now. These are from Mario Kart World. Look at Donkey Kong's redesign. See? You can see. Look at the difference between, see? So you can see that these characters were designed in mind. Luigi, you can see these characters have changed from their normal characters to the Mario Kart World characters. They also have a lot more icons that you can choose from that back in the day was not valid for us. I kind of like them, so I'm not changing nothing. I'm leaving with what I have, but you can also change that within the steps of the online center. So if you go to the online center and you wanted to change your icon, which I probably will do in a second, you just go down to where they have like missions and rewards here, and you can go over icon collection, go into your icon collection, and you can either create a new one here, or you can pick from one that you already created. I am Team Red Shell, so I'm going to go with the Fire Brother, Hammer Brother in the red, but I also like that one too, so I might just go with Japanese. I'm going to go with Japanese. Now you can change your backgrounds, your frames and everything. Like say if I wanted a different background, I can do like different things. I can do the gold, I can do the gold ribbons. I could choose nothing at all. I actually like the gold. The gold looks good. It looks royal and regal, so I'm going to keep that. You can also change your backgrounds. You can change your characters, all the characters. But these are things you have to go in there and actually have to download. When you pick these icon packs that come out, you can use them. I kind of like Paulina being there too. Also, I don't like Toad. That's my boy. I like the Spiny. I got the original Koopa Troopa Red Shell, the new Dunk City. I kind of like that too. but we're gonna stick with this one right here, day one, and we're gonna hit OK. It's gonna ask you to confirm it. You can even post it to your social media. You can manage your online account, your expiration. Like it has so much you could do. You have icon elements down here. I have 32 Xenoblade Chronicles, 46 Mario Odyssey, 72 Mario Kart Deluxe, 30 Nintendo 64. It gives you your platinum points and your save cloud data. So all of this is new. Now what I wanted to do is I also wanted to, let me go and to show you the new news icon. So in the new news icon thing, you can find channels that you can click onto, load channels, the latest ones that they have. What's new week 425, games on sale this week, Hogwarts Legacy, Creators, Voice, Legacy, Mario Kart, the Direct, online expansion pass. They have a bunch of different things. You can get the tree houses here, live part 1, live part 2, come see the Nintendo footage from the treehouse. Like, you get to do a lot of things. You can click on these and you can choose whether or not you either want to be a part of that channel or not. You can bookmark it. You can hit great or O. You can like it, great. You can bookmark it so that you have it for later, or you can view other archives, or you can view that one. So let's say if like you wanted to do the online here, and you see the right, you got the related products. So you can do either or. But let's say if you wanted to do this one, you pick your character, you pick your slot. It'll bring up the Nintendo eShop, and it'll let you know which things you can actually jump into and do. Now the eShop now has a scanner and barcode that you scan to give you access to the actual online store. This is also new for those of you guys who did not know. If you want to access the eStore now, you actually have a barcode scan. So if you wanted to attach to the eShop now this is only if you, I think only if you have security on it, and you notice this is no longer yellow, this is red, because they're working on both shops at the same time. So this is what you use to scan in order to get to the eShop now. I don't know if it's because I had a password and it was password protected. Maybe they did that now. You can go into your albums just like they were before, but like I said, this has been updated and upgraded too. So I'll actually show you how this whole process started. So I woke up and turned on my Switch, and my Switch literally said, downloading update, minutes remaining. And I was like, okay, the system has an update. The system updated. It said update complete. It restarted my system. I came back on here and I noticed there was extra icons, extra things. Now this was 11:09 p.m. last night. So I noticed there was extra thing, virtual game cards, game shares. I went into the online store. I went into the background save data. I went into everything that you just saw me go through you with. You can now see your virtual card games on the screen. Purchase downloadable games will appear here. So your downloadable games are now referred to as virtual game cards. That is something we're going to have to know on the Switch too. You can select your virtual game card to share and go back and forth. I showed you the virtual game cards. I showed you the ones that have no icon on them because they are not downloaded onto the Switch. Loading on the system, I went through everything about linking and how you go into the information on this current system. And version 20.0.0 is the new updated system. So that is the new updated system as of now, and it is it's pretty insane. Now what I also want to check, because I didn't do this is controllers, that looks about the same. Everything here looks the same. So virtual game cards, went through system settings. Now, is there anything new with system settings? Good question. Screen brightness. Your screen brightness can't be on TV. Bluetooth audio. So we got like we got the Bluetooth devices of pairing, screen lock, parental controls, internet, data management. Now this is another thing. I wonder if we can take our SD card out of the Switch 1, put it into the Switch 2, but we would still have to download those games onto the Switch 2, right? See, there's so much questions I have that they have not answered. me characters and everything. I think you have to re-sign in on the Switch 2 with your Nintendo account. I think that's what I'm saying. Basic black and white theme is still here. Notifications, everything looks completely the same. Sleep mode, yeah, controllers and sensors, change your grip order, TV set resolution, RGB range reduction, match TV power state. Now, we did the system update. I wonder if the update, okay, so it did update the dock. Everything else looks pretty cool. Date and time, console battery, console sound, blah blah blah. USB keyboard, change colors, zoom. You can zoom in by pressing house, the home icon twice. I didn't really know anything about that, but okay. Wireless e-label, system update, share error information. Now, this is what I wanted to tell you guys about, because a lot of people haven't seen this. I've seen some videos today talking about this, but a lot of people haven't seen this. System transfer to Nintendo Switch 2. This is new. You get formatting options and system transfer to Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I am not going to press anything because I do not know if it's something that automatically starts when you get your Nintendo Switch 2 and it has to be next to the Switch. I do not know. For shits and giggles, let me see. System transfer, if you click into it. Okay. Systems data will be transferred to the Nintendo Switch 2. To complete your transfer, you will need an internet connection and a Nintendo account. So, you will technically need your Switch 1 for your Switch 2. About system transfers. So use system transfer to move data from this system to the Nintendo Switch 2. So, for those of you who traded your Switches in, I don't know how it's going to work for you. That's the problem. You hit next, it'll tell you some data can be transferred to the Nintendo Switch 2, but not all. So it'll give you a check mark or a question mark or an icon block to let you know if this can be transferred to the Nintendo Switch 2. Visit Nintendo support website for more details. This can also be found on information between moving systems. I'm going to screenshot that because I'm going to go and see what they have. Okay, so this is the system transfer to Nintendo Switch 2. This is what I was asking about, how we do it. It's actually on the Nintendo Switch 1 now, in place. So a lot of people didn't talk about this because a lot of people never scrolled down and checked their system settings. This is brand new. I was wondering how we're going to transfer from Nintendo Switch 1 to Nintendo Switch 2, and we've gotten our answer. It's already been set up in the software for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I don't know how long it takes. I don't know how much space you need. I don't know if it needs to re-download all the games again on the Nintendo Switch 2, or whether or not it will use virtual game cards. If it uses virtual game cards, then we won't have to worry about that. If it does, then we have to re-download our stuff from this Switch onto the other Switch. Which also lets me think about another thing. Because when you go to... Where is it at? Where is it? So, system memory. You know how many gigs the Switch came with? That's the problem. So, think about how much you have on your Switch 1 to take over to your Switch 2. So, I have a 512 gig card, expansion card, so SD card on my Switch. That will have to be moved over to the SD card slot on the Switch 2. But my system memory, that's the question. That's really the question. So let's check something real quick. So, you see what I'm saying? Mortal Kombat 1 is 49 gigs. Mortal Kombat 11 is 26 gigs. Resident Evil Revelations, 23 gigs. 16 gigs, 14 gigs, 13 gigs, 12 gigs, 11 gigs, 11 gigs, 10 gigs, 8 gigs, 7 gigs, 6 gigs. It keeps going down. Now you have to really think about this when it comes to space, because 256 gigs is the internal storage. And they have SD cards available for more, but now you have to think in terms of gigabytes, because moving your old games over to the Switch 2, space-wise, may not be feasible. Look at the space of the new games. Look at the space of Mario Kart World. Now you have to take and wonder, are you playing Sophie's Choice when it comes to bringing games over to the Switch 2? Because if you bring all your games over to the Switch 2, let's say if it's, I think it's 32 gigs or 64 gigs internal. So take 64 gigs out of 256, and if you know anything, that 256 has some stuff used up on it, so you're not getting the full 256. So now all of a sudden, with that 256, now you're in one something. So now you're in one something gigs. If you just transfer all your stock games over, anything that's on your Nintendo Switch hard drive, not even talking about the SD card. Now, add if you got the Mario Kart bundle, the Mario Kart bundle is going to be downloaded. So however big Mario Kart World is now added to that. So you're going to fill up your SD card. You're going to fill up your storage very fast. I know 256 seems amazing. But it's definitely not not for the people who are avid Switch users, because there is a lot to be taken from space and space requirements. Now the question is, how much are you willing to risk? Now we don't even know. Well, we do know that the Switch 2 takes special SD cards. We do not know if you can take your SD card off of your Switch 1, pop it into your Switch 2, and it'll run. So you have to think about all the external games you have now on your Switch 1, on an SD card, and your Switch 2. Because if their SD card slot is formatted to only take the new type of Switch SD cards, then you will not be able to move anything from your SD card 1 to the SD card Switch 2. Which means you're going to have to pick and choose. So if you have a game on Switch 1 that you moved over to Switch 2, then you might have to erase it from Switch 1 so that you can use that space. Because if the SD cards are not transformable, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. These are things I wish they would have explained to us during a direct, but unfortunately we never got that. So just let you know, the 20.0.0 is out. It has introduced a lot to the Nintendo Switch. I wish there was somebody who was speaking on it to let us know more about what's going on. But nonetheless, the Switch 2 is in full launch mode, and they are gearing up by the Switch 1 being on deck. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is your boy the Game Ninja, letting you know that Switch done stepped its game up. So, with Switch stepping its game up and literally changing everything, it's going to be a little bit of a shakeup during the transfer, and it's going to be a little bit of turmoil with the Switch 2 launching, because people who are coming from Switch 1 to Switch 2, you're going to have to go through some processes. And those of you who are just Switch 2 day one, make your account, jump in, do what you need to do. But for those of us who are on Switch 1, it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for us to jump in and learn these new things. So one of the things I need to get answered is, can that Switch 2 take an SD card from the original Switch? Because a lot of us couldn't play all our games on the stock Switch hard drive, so we had to get an SD card so that we could get other games, download the information to those games. But if that SD card slot is a special SD card slot that does not read our standard SD card slot from Switch 1, how do we transfer those games? How do we transfer those game data? Like, it's so much to try to understand that it's weird. And I think this is where we're getting the not all will be transferable, which is going to be a problem. Number two, once we transfer said items and games from Switch 1 to Switch 2, will we have to re-download those games? Does the cartridge need to be in place in order for those games to download? There's just questions I have. And unfortunately, nobody's answered them yet. But in less than a month, these questions are going to have to be answered, because once the Switch 2 goes live, we're there already. And it's a little bit over a month, and we'll be on Switch 2. But I still have some questions that need to be answered. So this is your boy, the Game Ninja, bringing to you the brand new progress on Switch 1 for Switch 2. So they're getting things ready. They are working to get things ready. The problem is from our standpoint, we got a learning curve to get over. And I have questions that nobody right now can seem to answer. And I'm hoping within the next 30 days, those answers can be put to sleep. Because right now, my biggest question is, all the games that you have stored on an SD card, if the SD card slot for the Switch 2 is a special SD card, is the regular SD card backwards compatible? Like, can we take our Switch SD card in Switch 1 and pop it in Switch 2 so that we can play those games? Or do those games have to be re-downloaded and re-put onto the Switch 2, which will eat up all the space that we have? Because most of us have some of us were lucky enough to get a terabyte card. They're very expensive, but it begs the question now, what do we do now? And if it only takes that special SD card on Switch 2, then that means we're going to have to get a Switch 2 SD card, transfer the data from our SD card 1 to SD card 2, which means you're going to need a computer. You know, there's just, you feel what I'm saying? There is a lot to not understand yet about what's going on. And I kind of wish they covered these in directs, but unfortunately nobody has yet. So if you have an answer to any one of these questions that I proposed on the Switch upgrade, please in the comments let me know what you think is going to happen. Let me know what you heard. If you got your ear to the ground, if you work for Nintendo, let me know if you have correct answers to some of these questions that I have, because it proposes a lot and I am excited. I'm excited to be there day one for Switch 2. I am excited, but I also have a ton of questions. And like I was saying before, what if you trade in your Switch 1 towards your Switch 2? How are you going to get that information out? Do you need that Switch 1 to transfer the Switch 2 information? Because like I said, they just downloaded that transfer thing onto the Nintendo Switch 1. So it's here for a reason, to transfer our data to Switch 2. So is that saying you need your Switch 1 for Switch 2? Because what about all the people who traded their Switch 1 in for credit toward their Switch 2? See what I'm saying? There's a lot of questions that we really need answered that I don't think we're going to get right now. So anyway, it's your boy, the Game Ninja from the Game Dojo. You know where you guys are. I have questions. So I'm going to take my Nintendo Switch 1. Now, that's another question. They said your controllers will work from Switch 1 on Switch 2. Does that mean the Pro controllers? Or does that mean hard dock controllers that are USB enabled? Like I said, there's so many questions I have that we need answers for before day one. Now, they answered some of my questions by what they just dropped on us in an update. Now, do they have more updates? Are they going to have videos? Are they going to address this? Are they going to have like a little, because we don't know about another direct. I don't know if there is another direct. Are they going to do like a mini direct or something to answer some of these transfer questions? Because I'm okay with the games the way they're doing them, the virtual game cards. I understand them to make them easily transferable over to the Switch. You just share them. But what I'm not understanding is the SD card games that we have saved to our SD cards. If the new Switch only reads that special SD card, then what do we do? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep your game tight like Kobe did on game night. Your game is on, your game is strong, and when it's on, it's like hot butter drizzled all over Donkey Kong. I will see you guys in the gameplay, next game, next round. Maybe y'all can answer some of this stuff for me, Gamer Nation. Hit me up in the comments.